everybody, and welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. Now, I heard Corset 2020 came out last weekend, but no one cares. That's old news because we have drama to talk about instead.
Ooh.
Isn't that how it works these days?
Yeah, man. We're going to give you that tantalizing piece of meat right up top, like drama. And then, but
reaction.
First, let's talk about,
Commander banning gone wrong. Commander banning gone wrong. No.
Brainstorm
Frank
reacts.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm Corbin. DJ Jason, introduce yourselves, and then we have a guest on tonight.
I'm Jason. He's DJ.
That's good.
I'm DJ. He's Jason.
Yep, great job. Steven Kessler, welcome on to the podcast, man. How you doing?
Hey, thanks a lot for the invite. Doing great. Glad to be here with you all tonight.
Of course, man. Steven is one of our patrons who probably is more in the know than the rest of you about some of our future Patreon plans, given that we've been talking with the $40 tier for a week or so here, trying to figure out how we want to improve things for everybody. So stay tuned.
For ourselves. We want to improve things for ourselves. If you don't know what Corbin's talking about, he's talking about our Patreon at patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery for as little as $1 a month, which is 20 or 25 cents an episode. You can have access to the Discord, and honestly, if all you do is invest that $1, I feel like you will make a lot more money back. We're having good conversations about MTG Finance and making fun of Corbin in that Discord, so that's a thing you can join for $1. There's not a better deal in MTG Finance than that.
That's probably true. That's a good way to put that, Jason.
And as someone who pays $40, I get a lot of value out of that. But the $20 tier, if you are not at the $20 tier, it is worth it to get there. It is worth every penny.
That is right. Our $20 tier is where you get the spicy material that gets cut from the podcast. It is usually NSFW for all of you underage listeners out there. But
better stay away.
Hey, I'm just giving the Surgeon General's warning here. Do
you have to lie and say you're 18 to even have a Patreon account? I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if they.
Corbin, I know everybody under the age of 25 is a child to you, but
I mean, that is true. Actually, the older I get,
you walked up to school both hills and it snowed all the time. Like,
look, I had my problems in school, but they weren't that. My problems are that I was a shit kid.
There goes our one S word for the podcast.
I was definitely an S tier kid, if you know what I mean.
Way to blow our whole
Speaking of S-tier cards, Paradox Engine and Iona Shield of Emeria have been removed from the Commander format by rule of law and the Commander Advisory Committee, the Rules Committee, the Commander Advisory Rules Committee, whatever you want to call this group of people who have dictated their divine decree down to us from on high. What are the impacts of this? What are you guys' thoughts and feelings? I know Corbin's mad. I know Corbin's salty.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. There has been some news going around today, and we're recording Monday night, right after this all happened, that things that I've heard are that Painter's Servant was bought out before the announcement even went live. Looking at the graph for Painter's Servant...
Weeks before.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the graph for Painter's Servant, it was actually falling. It had fallen to its lowest ever at about $8 in the middle of May.
Yep.
And then at the end of May, it shot up from 8 to 10. And obviously it got bought out today. Similarly, Paradox Engine had reached an all-time high.
I mean,
at
to
about
the extent
40...
that, like, Paradox Engine was someone made a post in the finance subreddit saying, hey, why is Paradox Engine plummeting so much? Do people think it's going to get banned? And of course I was like, no, it's not going to get banned. It would have already.
Well, yeah, I want to be clear before we go any further here that, no one's, we don't have the information here. No one's going to come on this podcast, or at least I'm not, and going to say that there was insider trading and make an accusation against the community like that. That would be very serious. Paradox Engine had spiked to $48 in the middle of March. I mean, $30 market price, but it had spiked, right? And since then, it had kind of like it had fallen and kind of steadied out, but it had climbed at the beginning of June to about $42, $43, and since then had been steadily falling by just a couple dollars. So I don't look at those graphs and see damning evidence of insider trading, but here's what I will say, and I don't know if this is. I'm not throwing anyone under the bus here because the way I got my information wasn't through anyone involved in the game anymore. But I have received word of commander bannings before they happened in the past, and I didn't act on them. One, I was just like, it was back in the Sylvan Primordial days. I didn't act on it. In fact, I got blown out when my full Sylvan Primordial got banned because I just didn't want to deal with it. But like, the point is, enough people knew that someone told me who was not on the rules committee. So, and that's a long time ago, right? Now we have the rules committee, and then they have a commander advisory committee. And from what I understand, they've done a lot of really great work. For instance, they also released today sort of a philosophy of what commander is about, which is something which I know is very important to at least some members of that advisory committee, because everyone gets mad about bans, but if you at least explain your reasoning behind bans or unbans, then you've got something to work from, and it's not quite so arbitrary. So, with all of that said, I mean, information has leaked in the past, so would I be shocked if information had leaked again here? No.
Especially because you are adding like a half dozen new set of loose lips to sink some ships.
Well, right, and we don't actually know if they even are, like, we know that they advise the rules committee. We don't know if they make the decisions on bans. We don't know if there's a voting system. We don't know if they're even informed, right? We don't have any of that information. From what I understand, that information is not public. Now,
and I mean, the rules advisory committee has also been strongly, I mean, at least the members I've seen have been public with their views on how they voted, right, and sort of like what their thoughts in the format were. And the people who have made those thoughts public are not the kind of people who would say that they want Iona like unbanned or banned or unbanned or whatever, and then go buy copies based on the exact opposite of what their tweets are that they're arguing with people for 30 minutes. So like nobody's gonna go like, oh yeah, I think Paradox Engine should be legal, it's the best card ever, and then like sneakily vote for it to be banned and sell all their that's not how this rabbit hole doesn't go that deep,
right? And so, all I want to say is that there has, at least in the past, and it was a very long time ago, but I can personally vouch that information has leaked out before, so we don't know what happened here. But more transparency never hurt anyone. Nope. So I don't know if it would be important or not for them to address it, but I'll speak up for Jason here because he may not want to do this himself, but Jason wasn't made a part of that committee despite being the content manager of EDH Rec, being a leader in the EDH community, especially in terms of the way you should approach the game, right? He seemed like he would be perfect for that, and I believe that one of the reasons was that they didn't want the hint of impropriety by having someone associated with a finance podcast. So here we are. That was the reason we gave, and
good thing there's no impropriety.
Right. So I don't know. Take that for what you will. But I don't know if this will even matter to the rules committee. And like I said, the evidence, I don't look at the stats. I don't look at this stuff and say this was clearly insider trading. Like the graphs to me are, they don't look manipulated to that extent. So I don't want to make an accusation here, but I would like, if there was some way, if the rules committee, if there was some transparency to the process to reassure people, that I think that would be all upside.
They banned 2 cards and only unbanned 1, and it's much harder to short a card. Now look at the graph of something like Grindstone, which obviously correlates to Painter's Servant pretty well, even though I don't think it's that good in Commander. You can make your own conclusions from that.
Yeah, Grindstone, for reference, has steadily been dropping and did not spike until today, at least as far as I can tell.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think that in this case, it might be more conspiracy theory than fact, but more transparency on just how their system works would never hurt anyone. Because, man, Sheldon's Facebook wall today was a disaster. Every asshole thinks that they have an opinion. We're shouting at people who have spent their lives, who have spent the better part of the last 10 to 15 years doing everything they can to make this a great format. So, I would like to see a way forward in which the community can have its concerns addressed without the community being so vitriolic to the people who created this incredible format that's now the most popular thing in Magic.
Corbin, we were just having...
is too insular. They should give the rules committee to the same people at Wizards who missed the Saheeli Felidar Guardian interaction. And who?
Yeah, the only thing about this EDH community that I don't like is the people that constantly shit on the RC. Like, for no good reason. It's a waste of time. You bring no facts. Y'all just act like complete jackwagons. I hate it. It's why I don't go to my LGS. It's the same kind of crap. That's why I play at home.
Yeah, I mean, so look, they have.
Corbin, you were talking in the group chat. You're like, "How hard should I roast? How much fire should I bring to this?" And that was like the most lukewarm cup of tea that you've.
I don't think it was.
That was you going hard, Jesus.
I can't help it, guys. I'm too nice.
Have you ever gone hard in your whole life, Corbin?
I went hard in the paint against
yeah,
Blake
have you ever
Griffin.
gone
Oh, Blake Griffin! Now, for those of you who don't know, Corbin pretended he was Gaunty, and he stole the ball from Blake Griffin, and Blake Griffin won't acknowledge it. He's been so far he's been silent on Twitter and refuses to acknowledge that Corbin stripped him back in high school. So.
Look, and I heard some of you all didn't like that story or that campaign, but you know what? Screw you. You're jealous.
I mean, they can
steal the ball from Blake Griffin.
They can
You'd
not
be proud
like
of it
you,
too.
or they can just not like the story. They can also just not like you.
All of my stories are great. We know that can't be the case. No disagreements.
The only reason Corbin's on this podcast is to tell stories. So.
That was a bad story about your stories being not good.
Yeah, we've gone meta. We're full meta here.
It's like the movie Inception, but somehow even less watchable.
I finally saw that for the first time.
What?
I've never seen
it on I watched it on an airplane. We know you haven't seen it, DJ. I watched it on an airplane on the way back from London like 2 months ago. I'd never seen it before.
What a coincidence! DJ read the Wikipedia summary of that movie on the airplane.
Yeah, well, that's probably. I liked it. I would have liked it a lot more at the time. I think if I hadn't known the ending or whatever.
You knew the ending?
Well, like I knew that. Basically, people were like,
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Yeah, this is a spoiler alert. Everyone, if you haven't seen this 10-year-old, 15-year-old movie or whatever.
You're Corbin-esque if you haven't seen the movie. So, like, why would you even write to us and be like, you spoiled Inception for me? Because then you would have to admit you did a Corbin-esque thing. So no one's going to come forward and say we ruined the movie. So you know what? Fuck it.
Anyways, I had
the
just
wedding
heard,
ring was Cobb's totem, not the top. There. Boom. Nailed it. The end of the movie is like, wait, if your kids were in France, why didn't you just have your dad bring the kids to you? And he's like, no, I gotta go shoot guns in someone's head while they're flipping. Pew pew, Inception.
It was a cool movie, man. It would have been really cool at the time, I think.
Yeah.
That's
because that was before Christopher Nolan jumped the shark, but like he subsequently did that.
What did he jump the shark with?
The third Batman movie and or Dunkirk.
Okay, I haven't seen Dunkirk. I wanted to, but it felt like a movie.
Wait, what's wrong with the Batman movie?
The one with Bane.
What was wrong with it?
I mean, it was.
What do you mean?
I've actually seen that movie. Like that's a movie that I've seen.
Look, it was just impossible to live up to The Dark Knight Rises. Is all.
That was The Dark Knight Rises.
The Dark Knight. What?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
Joker
yeah. First one was
Dark Knight. Bane was Dark Knight.
He's talking about
Rises.
the Heath Ledger snuff film.
Yeah. You want to know how I got these pills?
I got them from
the Olsen twins. I'm not sure which one of them looks worse, him or the Olsen twins. No, nobody's gonna.
No, I was like verifying that was. Anyways, that movie was fine. It just couldn't live up to the one before it. I liked it actually.
I thought it was good.
Yeah. Was it a nice movie, Corbin?
It was a nice movie, man.
Very nice movies on both airplanes.
Yeah, I was at Spider-Man over the weekend. I went with my family, and the beginning of the movie starts, and there's there's in-game spoilers coming, everybody. But it shows Tony Stark being dead or something, and my father-in-law looked over at one of his daughters and was like, "Have you seen Endgame?" And she goes, "No," and he just goes, "Oops." and then we watched Spider-Man, which by the way was great.
Don't worry, there was a blip
excellent.
or something. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I thought Spider-Man was great.
No, if you haven't seen Endgame by now, fuck you. You weren't going to see it. It's your
that's
fault.
actually what I brought up. I was like, the guy I podcast with this actually had a great take. Like, if it's a month or you haven't seen it, you're not going to. You know,
I still haven't seen the third Avengers movie, so I'm a little behind.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to get upset if someone spoils it.
No,
for
of course
you.
not. I don't care.
Like
Yeah,
Infinity War.
No,
You didn't see Infinity War.
correct.
That's the better of the two.
Was it?
I thought
I saw the second one like 3 years ago.
Well, the second one was pretty bad.
that one's only okay.
I thought Spider-Man was like, I've never like sat down and ranked them, but like it's probably top 5.
This is a better set review than a set review episode.
We're not doing a set review. No one cares about the set.
Far From
No,
Home
we're
is better
reviewing
than
movie
Homecoming,
sets.
which is fucking insane. It's insane to say that Far From Home is better than Homecoming, but everybody's saying that, and it's insane.
I think you have to keep in mind that we just came off 2 very depressing, super serious Marvel movies, and then Spider-Man: Far From Home was just like this. Spoilers. It's fun, have you seen it yet, Jason?
I saw it. What do you mean?
I just want to verify that you have seen Far From Home.
Yes.
Okay. It's just fun, right? It's just a enjoyable movie. It's a very rewatchable movie, and like I never rewatched Endgame or Infinity War because like they're just really serious. And I just had, So I think people might be a little like if you think they're too high on it, maybe it's because it's just such a change from where we were at with the last couple. Anyways, let's go back to Magic. What do you guys think is actually going to happen here in Commander? Grindstone unbanned, 2 cards banned.
Nothing matters.
I mean, Jason, is there anything?
Service not going to do anything good.
Yeah.
It's going to do stupid shit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Grindstone
It's
combo's
bizarre.
not good. What are you going to go build 8.5 tails? Like, I don't think anything financially relevant is going to happen.
It's really bizarre to have unbanned Servant, in my
But
opinion.
I don't think, everyone's like, oh, they're so dumb for unbanning.
I mean, it's really bizarre to ban Iona.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to
I
unban
get
Painter Servant,
that.
you literally can't have Iona.
That's
right?
not true.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I don't know if that's true either.
Like Teferi Knowledge Pool exists. Like Karn Lattice exists, and those are both 10 mana 2-card combos that just say no one else plays the game. And
Yeah,
Iona Painter Servant is also a 2-card combo that's 11 mana and a billion setup. Like you could already tooth the nail for something that wins.
True.
Like
it is true that cheating creatures into play is easier than cheating artifacts into play.
I don't even know if that's true.
I mean, I don't actually know, but I certainly think it is. I don't think there's reanimate for artifacts, but I don't know. So
There's Goblin Welder.
I think the Paradox Engine banning's a bigger deal.
but Goblin
than
Welder takes other stuff, right? And that may be easy.
Painter coming off.
Yeah, I mean the Paradox Engine, it's going to. The only thing I'm worried about is it's going to make the dirtily Paradox Engine decks even more dirtily because they're like, well, it was going to kill everyone right now with infinite mana,
but now I
but I guess I'll take a 4-minute turn and then pass when I put 12 lands into play. I have a Kydel and Thrasios deck with Paradox Engine, and I have a Tatiova deck without Paradox Engine, and I will tell you that the Tatiova deck is the one taking 5-minute turns where I don't necessarily win.
I hate Tatiova because of that.
Yep. So that's probably going to get turned into an Omnath deck just because Risen Reef is just too good in every format. Risen Reef is the best Magic card printed in the last 20 years.
What?
I'll call GT, let him know.
I'll call
You don't
Silvergirl
speak
Adept.
Japanese.
I'll let Silvergirl Adept know you're trying to take its crown.
Silvergale Adept doesn't have a crown because he's underwater. And he would lose it
Float.
in the water currents, you stupid idiot. I can't believe I need to explain this to you. You claim to know
Take
a lot
an
about
oceanography
merfolk, but you
course.
think they have headwear.
A crown is called a coral helm, Jason. Get it fucking right.
This episode is unreleasable.
Empress Galena does have a crown on.
You know what? I didn't bring you on this podcast to correct me.
You're right, you didn't bring me on. I brought myself on because I pay you $40 a month
Where? Where do you go?
at patreon.com.
/Brainstorm
That was the
Brewery.
most bait and switch Patreon pitch. Oh, speaking of completely awful random magic related tangents, my friends and I were having this conversation over a game of Commander, and have you guys ever played the game with somebody who doesn't play Magic and asked them to name set symbols?
No.
When you're like, sort these Magic cards by set symbols, and they're like, okay, I have the spider, I have the little metal, I have the shield, I have the...
I bet you they call it
I
hammer.
played that game during a collection buy when the guy's like, I got the anvil. I'm like, cool.
Yep.
It's called Urza's Tower. I'm like, fuck yeah. He's like, I got the sword, like Arabian Nights. He's like, I got like the thing that looks like it's like a pillar broken. I was like, yes.
No, but
it was canonical.
So based on this conversation, it extrapolated to how many Magic sets can you name that look like can openers? Because there's a lot.
Can opener.
Like Arabian Nights is a can opener, Mirrodin's a can opener.
Commander 2018 is a can opener.
Urza's Saga is a can opener.
They're all can openers. Anything's a can opener if you try hard enough. Corbin's eye socket, can opener.
That's a good point, Jason. Our listeners should know that now.
How many set symbols can you name that are can openers? Not Future Sight.
Legends.
Let's play can opener or not can opener.
Time Spiral.
No.
Can opener or not?
No.
Apocalypse. Apocalypse would be a sweet can opener.
Yes, Apocalypse is a can opener.
Theros.
Scourge.
Now, Scourge is a bottle opener.
Scourge is a bottle opener. It's not a can opener.
Yeah, that'd be like that would open
That's
a beer bottle.
Morning Tide is a bottle opener.
Oh, Plane Shift is a beer bottle opener.
Shadowmoor's a can opener.
Yeah.
Kaladesh is a can opener. This is kind of fun.
How is Kaladesh can opener? Zendikar's a very rough and brutal can opener, yeah.
No, it's like the ones, it's not the can opener, it's the ones where you make two punctures in it, like the old Hawaiian punch cans.
Oh, yeah.
So you make two triangular holes in it so that it can like spill all over your countertop, and then your mom yells at you, and then you don't get to go see Bambi in the theater with your dad, even though it was like his weekend to take you to a movie. And then you get ants, and then like you lose your security deposit in the apartment complex. You know how that kind of can opener?
Man, you are really working through some stuff.
I'm glad we're here for you, man.
I blacked out. What happened? Anyway. Return to Ravnica. Sweet can opener. This is a fun game. I gotta call my dad.
Where's that?
Cats in the cradle in the snow.
Hey, I like that song.
Breaking bolt time. Breaking bolt time. Break.
Oh, yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
All right, you guys want to do breaking?
So speaking of breaking into cans,
you guys want to do breaking?
How
bulk
about we
here?
break into some bulk? And I have a card from Commander 2014. It's kind of a can opener, I guess. I don't know, but it's a blue card from Commander 2018. It's an instant. Let's see if Corbin can guess it, because I already leaked it to Jason.
I don't know.
He blurted it out.
I don't know.
you just.
I mean,
I
don't know. I don't know
one.
the commander. Like, I know the symbols, but I'm not very good at knowing which one came from which. So, what is it again? It's a what?
It's a blue instant from C14. No reprints.
What kind of can opener is the C14 set symbol?
Oh, it's split into 3 sections vertically, and so it's very much. It's more like a shield than the others. It's more like a traditional like a link shield, like a Zelda shield.
I'm looking at the symbol to try to guess here. Domineering Will.
Nope.
Was that in that set though? Did I get that right?
That is a card that it could have been, yes, but that is not the card.
Oh, well, I'm actually that's even a card you might think is bulk. It's not. I'm actually proud of myself.
Yep.
I don't care. I don't know anymore.
Intellectual Offering is a 5-mana blue bad instant. You choose an opponent. You and that player each draw 3 cards. Choose an opponent. Untap all non-land permanents you control and that player controls. So you draw 3 cards and you untap all your... You do a one-time Paradox Engine. And some opponent draws 3 cards and some opponent untaps their stuff. This card is $1-ish, and it buy lists for like 50 cents or so.
What spiked this?
Nothing spiked it. It's just like a...
It spiked in the past month.
I mean, it's just a casual dirtle, man. I don't know what's... Like, all the commander
stuff got there. Yeah.
Like, all the commander stuff's just been... Commander-only stuff's just sort of been, like, running dry. I mean, it's been 4 or 5 years since it's been printed.
Yeah, actually, this is a really good graph. Hopefully JJ will put it up on the screen. But if you look at it, it's a card that, even though it was bulk or whatever, was 35 cents, it just steadily climbed up to like 50 cents and then to 75 cents. And then it hit that point where it spiked.
I mean, this is...
Because the supply just got low.
This is a very niche category of card. I don't know like what a catchy name for this category of cards is, but it's like the budget commander decks like fiesta of cards where it's like, this card is like playable, it's fine, it's bad in a context when you have the entire pool of Magic cards to work with, but it's perfect for all those YouTubers who are like, budget commander deck, prank gone wrong, click now, spoiler alert. And so like, this goes in that, and then like those copies get bought up from TCG Player, and it slowly just nicks the price up a little by little. And so like these 35-cent bulk wares become like $1, and then No Snowflake thinks they're responsible for the avalanche. So everyone's like, "Why is this card $4?" And like people buy it.
Yeah,
so
and that's actually a pretty good point. There's some people who came into my store the other day talking about Commander's quarters. I don't know if you guys...
Yes.
Yeah, he makes $25
Right,
decks.
yeah, and they were that's what they were doing. They were like 16, 17-year-old kids without a lot of money, and they were building their $25 decks, and they're like, it's not $25 anymore. Now it's like $40 after the video came out or whatever. Whoa. So it's like, your Saffron Olive effect, only at a bulk rare, like, that's not going to spike to $10, but it is going to take it from 50 cents to $1.50 or whatever.
Yep.
I think it's pronounced 50 cent.
50. But yeah, I actually think that's become more and more of a thing, and is people either arbitrarily limiting themselves in Commander, or just there's just so many new people to Magic or new to Commander that they just don't have the decks that us that we think of as Commander decks, right?
And there's also just like the knowledge gap, right? Like most,
right, exactly.
I learned this a long time ago, and that's that most Magic players do not look through large pools of cards to fine tune their decks.
Yeah,
like
especially in Commander,
like arbitrary percentage, like 85% of Magic players. Let's just make that up out of thin air for statistic purposes.
Commander, more than anything, they start from a built deck and work their way backwards.
Right.
So that means they are going to be inclined to include more stuff that shouldn't be in the deck because it seems just good enough not to take out, because obviously it was included in the first place. It's got synergy with the final build, right? So like they're like, I don't want to take that out, even if it's like for the other commander it's packaged with a little bit better. They're just like, they just don't take stuff out. So they're not really finding 100 picks. They're finding like 12.
Right.
But like most Magic
Jason
players are just like
his best.
They're just going to like TCG Player or Amazon, right? And they're like, customers also purchase this, must be good. Next one. Like they just filter through this little scroll bar down here, and they don't go to like, let's go to Gatherer, search for blue instance with CMC 3 to 5. Like nobody does that. Like people who are listening to this podcast do that, but most Magic players who are buying their cards just like on Amazon or like eBay or whatever, just go like, customers also purchased. Yes. Because it's easy. It's simple.
And
it's
you have
fewer
those
clicks.
new players who are that one step in where they've gotten their pre-con, they're now getting something maybe out of 19, like core 19, and then they're using some of those old pre-con cards that they took out as they upgraded, but they're not at the point yet where they're like, okay, I don't like this isn't good enough. They're using it as a stopgap for spending money to get another deck that's playable to see if they like it. So it just causes those cards to linger in the forefront of people's minds longer.
Yeah, I'm all about it, because I love that, whatever you want to call it, it's just a... Commander is a lot of things to a lot of people, and it's really good for cards like that, and I like that you can show up and not everyone's playing
they're like blood pod,
whatever. Yeah. They're like,
how
all
often
of my
does a
decks,
card like this ever get countered?
all of my decks are
Never.
Pretty much optimized, and if I build a new deck, I'll build it optimized. But like, that's just not how most players interact with Commander, which is good. I think it's great.
All right, next card.
Yep. Who wants to go next?
Corbin, do you got one?
I'm looking.
You're looking.
This is my favorite way to do breaking bulk, is when I buy cards to just look at what's in front of me.
I have an artifact that has been printed 8 times and is still $2.
Commander Sphere?
Commander Sphere.
Nope. It has been in a commander deck.
Skull Clamp?
Mind Stone.
Nope.
Mind Stone?
It's been
Mind Stone
in
is not
two
$2.
commander decks It's been in 2014 and 2016. It's been in Arch Enemy. It's been in Modern Masters 2015. It was in Commander Anthology Volume 2 and Dual Decks Elspeth versus Tezzeret. I can't give you any more information than that.
Darksteel Ingot.
No, it's not Darksteel Ingot because that one wasn't in Modern Masters.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to remember. Modern Masters.
MM15 is like the real clue here in the dual deck.
Yep.
Everflowing
I'm surprised
Chalice.
you didn't. Yeah, it's Chalice.
Oh, God. It really is still $2. Huh?
Get those in bulk, yeah. And it's got 8 printings, and people are like, oh, this is printed into dust. And you'd think so, wouldn't you? But you'd be wrong. Everflowing Chalice is just one of those cards, and people are like, you run this in what is it, Atraxa decks, because you proliferate the counters on there. I'm like, yep. There's one thing 4-color decks love. It's mana rocks that tap for colorless.
Well, in the new Urza deck, it's also a Mox.
Well,
too.
the new Urza deck doesn't exist with Paradox Engine going, so good riddance to Urza.
Nice. I've got one that has been. It's a rare. I'll give you that. It's been printed a lot. First printed in Mirrodin. It's been printed in Archenemy, Eternal Masters, Commander's Arsenal, and the one that you guys will probably get it from, Commander 2018. It's a rare artifact.
See, when you were saying that, I was thinking Mirari's Wake, but
Nope, it's a rare artifact.
a
Originally,
Mirrodin rare artifact.
Yep. Well, it's Commander.
Is it Mirari?
No.
No, Mirari's garbage.
This card is $2. It's a card that I think I literally got today in bulk, but it's a $2 card. This is
rare. 4 printing.
Well of Lost Dreams.
It also no, it is not Well of Lost Dreams. It also has a Kaladesh Invention Masterpiece.
Duplicate?
It is duplicate.
Huh.
Yeah, I actually had thought that this had actually been grinded into 50 cent to $1 range.
It's not good in EDH anymore. It used to be good, but it's kind of, there are these artifacts like Solemn Simulacrum and Mind's Eye and stuff like.
Mind's Eye, yeah, that one used to be good.
They used to be good, but then they're like, hey, we're gonna print cards directly for EDH now.
Yeah,
and like you don't have to play these pieces of crap anymore. Like Burnished Heart is better than Duplicate at this point, but people are still hanging on in there with the stuff that like was in their first EDH.
Well, I mean, yeah, and the Masterpiece is $40-something.
Well, it's a masterpiece.
Also, Duplicate has this weird thing where if you do play it, everybody reads it wrong and they think it copies the creature.
Yeah.
And it just copies power, toughness, and creature
For
type.
6 mana, it should copy the creature.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Mirrodin was a very long time ago, so the card was probably great then, right?
No. No, it wasn't.
No,
they had good cards in Mirrodin. Back in Mirrodin, you know what we were doing? We were playing turn 1 Bird of Paradise, turn 2 Troll Ascetic, turn 3 putting a Jite on it, and they're like, oh, okay.
People were like skull clamping things during Mirrodin.
Well, they banned a lot of cards in Mirrodin.
Yeah. But like Duplicate after it got printed last year in the Commander 2018 deck was under $1. It was 75 cents or whatever for a good 6 to 9 months. So, and yet it has climbed back to $2. So if you bought those, a little extra value there. Steven, do you want to get in on this?
If you made a lot of
game?
money on a card, nobody's going to want because
yeah.
Duplicate sucks.
Well, if you buy list it for $1, that's a lot. It's a lot more than you were going to get.
All right, for you guys, I have a Born of the Gods uncommon
archetype of something.
Incorrect.
Uncommon. What color is it?
It's white.
Is it
Sunbond?
It is Sunbond.
Those are the 3 things.
No, there's the Herald of Brimez or whatever, and there's the
Springleaf Drum.
The 2-drop.
Yeah.
Is that card worth money?
It's worth picking.
The Vanguard of Brimaz.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a nickel at Card Kingdom right now.
Yeah,
good call.
Yeah,
but the Sunbond, it's just a little enchantment, 3 and a white. Whenever enchanted creature has, whenever you gain life, put that many +1/+1 counters on this creature.
Everything becomes a Johnny's Parade mate.
Which you now have tokens
and
for.
Right now, you can get 25 cents in cash for it.
Oh, that's pretty nice, actually.
Yep.
All right, so let's move on. We'll touch briefly on this. I know not the people on this cast don't care as much, but there were also some other bans that happened this week. Namely, Bridge from Below is gone. Bridgevine is neutered.
Faithless
Probably
Looting
not
is the
dead.
new Grape Shaw.
That gets everything else banned.
Yes.
Yeah. At first I actually, I backpedaled on this within like half an hour this morning, but I was originally like, to me, this felt like the time to do it. This felt like the deck that just demonstrated that you can't print graveyard cards with Faithless Looting in the format because it will just inevitably break them at some point. Like it's got, you called it the grape shot of, and I said, if they're not banning it now, they're just not going to ban it. But the reality is, the more I think about it, there's a lot of powerful cards in Modern Horizons. There's a lot going on there. And we never actually got to see the modern format. We never got to see what it would look like when it wasn't broken.
Yeah, it got immediately hogacked.
Right. So we don't actually know. I mean, like, my take on this is that the Mythic Championship is going to be 3 decks. And it's going to be Is It Phoenix, which has Lava Dart and is good. Like, that deck was the best deck before Modern Horizons by a fair margin. Tron now has Karn Mycosynth Lattice. So that's a thing. And Humans is Humans, and it got Unsettled Mariner if they choose to play that or whatever. But I thought that coming right before the Mythic Championship, they'd do sort of the this is when we make our big change, right? We thought looting needs to go for a while. This is the time we're going to do it, which is their reasoning for Splinter Twin. And without delving into the Splinter Twin argument that I know everyone's screaming about right now, they said we were going to ban Splinter Twin, and we wanted to wait until this was the right time to do it. It wasn't banned to make the Pro Tour more exciting. It was banned before the Pro Tour so that the Pro Tour wouldn't be dominated by it. And I thought that I thought that history was going to repeat itself and they were going to shake things up a little more, but they didn't. They played it super safe. So, but now we get to see what Modern looks like with Modern Horizons at an event that people are going to be testing for. We're going to figure out if Is It Phoenix is broken in Barcelona in a couple weeks. So, financially, I don't even know what to, this just reset us a little bit. It didn't create anything new. It just reset us to the Tron Is It Phoenix metagame. And now we'll see if those Modern Horizons cards can shake it up anymore.
Well, there's a new metagame developing also, and that is Standard. And Standard is the most exciting it has ever been. Ever. Because for whatever reason, Core Set 2020 is giving Standard all kind of tools to do weird stuff. People are brewing weird Teamer Planeswalker decks. And I think the main reason for all this innovation is one card, Risen Reef. It's the only uncommon, the only really non-rare in the set I really gave a crap about. But it actually performed even better than I thought it was going to, even in Limited. I think this is going to be one of those EDH cards that you're just going to do something really stupid. Like the enchantment that you can put X elementals equal to the creature's power when you tap the creature. Stuff like that. You're just going to trigger Risen Reef a whole ton. And the new Chandra, the rare middle Chandra, for her 0, she puts 2/1/1 elementals into play, and I think Jeff Hoogland is brewing with that. I think some other people are doing some other stuff with elementals. I think elementals could be like a thing combined with planeswalkers, so you get like a ton of value that way.
A certain somebody mentioned Flamekin Harbinger as a pick of the week a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean, the elementals are good. I actually have a conspiracy theory on this subject. Here's my conspiracy theory. There's a lot of new players to the game with Arena. There was an article that came out today on Bloomberg that talked about how Arena's, if you do a little back of a napkin math, is raking in hundreds of $1 million a year, or is on track to whatever, right? It represents, they expected to boost Hasbro shares by like a full $1 or something, which is insane in like the investing world or whatever.
Well, it's insane because every other Hasbro property is shitting the bed because they're like,
more
people
or less
still like Rock'em Sock'em Robots, right?
Well, it's weird actually. Like Monopoly has been really up the last couple of years. It's very, but we don't know what those numbers are.
Because they're making real cynical, like, hey, millennials, you're actually fucked and we're being honest about it edition of Monopoly.
I mean, they started doing those theme versions like, God, when we were kids.
I have Spider-Manopoly, so I agree.
But here's the thing. They need they want those people, obviously, and we want those people too, but like they want them to go to paper Magic. And I don't think it's an accident that since Arena more or less released, right, the power creep in the game just went off the charts. Like, I think that is an intentional decision made by them.
So they want us to be Hearthstone. Between
like reprinting, I think it coincided. Like, I think reprinting Shocks, with, you know, in the Ravnica sets alongside Arena, that's still in Standard. The insane power push on War of the Spark, Modern Horizons, and M20, honestly. I think they are just really pushing the boundaries of what they can do, and I don't think it's an... You know, I've always worried about power creep as actually being one of the most damaging things to the game, because that, you know, gets at undermining market confidence. You know, whether you're invalidating cards by reprinting them into the ground like Yu-Gi-Oh, or you're invalidating them by simply making them
just
so weak.
Right.
So, and there's always going to be some amount of that. Like, power creep itself is not inherently bad, but it sure seems like it got dialed up to 11 here. They brought back protection, which I actually think is good for Standard, but like, they just seem, there's a lot of rules that we've kind of become accustomed to over the past 5 years, and they're throwing them all out the window now.
Is this the result of kind of a lackluster Amonkhet block after a phenomenal Kaladesh block?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean Amonkhet and Ixalan
about,
are just like the trough of power level.
Yeah, that's what Ixalan was pretty shit on as well. But now Ixalan has held its own fine in Standard after rotation. I mean, Kaladesh was just broken, and I do think.
Yeah, but you can't pair anything with Kaladesh. Like, if you like.
I think you're right.
Kamigawa and Ravnica together, you're like, oh, Kamigawa's garbage. But like when you had it with,
I do think you're right that it is a reaction to the dialing back, but I also think it's a reaction to, if we have a bunch of players coming, if we're going to have an influx of players who have never touched a physical Magic card in their life, it doesn't make a lot of sense it doesn't make a lot of sense to push them to 10-year-old cards. Let's push the power level. Let's have them buy new stuff, you know? And we'll see what happens with the next Commander set, which comes out next month.
Oh, the next Commander set, I'm calling it now, gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, I think so too.
Do you guys want to place quick, not bets, but quick guesses on what the themes are gonna be? Because I have a guess that I want to.
Oh gosh, I would have no clue. But what is your guess?
Planes.
Ooh.
Oh, planes.
That's good.
Yeah.
So like a Kamigawa deck that has like ninjas or snakes, and then like a new plane deck of like whatever the. Like maybe Kaldheim or something.
The fall sets.
See, I don't know about Kamigawa.
Aren't they going to like a Viking plane next?
I don't know, but like I think we're gonna get like maybe like an Innistrad deck or like I don't know.
I wanna. That's something to bring up, by the way. It is, as we record right now, it is July the 8th. We have a new set dropping in about 3 months, and we have no clue what it is.
That's because WotC does a better job of keeping it quiet than the RC.
Then the Commander.
Yeah, that was shots. That was fire. No, but like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, like, normally we get we got the name for Dominaria in like April or something, right? Like, or I mean, not. Yeah, I guess Dominaria doesn't count because Dominaria was in like the summer. We got what was the set name? No, it wasn't Dominaria because that was not a fall set, even though it felt like it.
As a spring set.
Yeah, but was it like we knew the name for like. The last fall set, like in April, I think it was.
They also showed us package art that had the wrong name for the Ixalan set.
Right, so we knew about Ixalan, yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
I don't really remember when we found out about Ravnica or whatever, but I definitely feel like in general we know about the October set.
No, you're
July.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know if that means, like, it could be a lot of things. It could be that they don't want to step on people buying the core sets or Modern Horizons or whatever.
Or Magic's just canceled. Maybe Magic's just canceled forever.
If they cared about people stepping on toes, not buying sets, they wouldn't put back-to-back sets in a month and a half.
I don't like that argument. I don't like that whole, like, oh my god, we're getting flooded with product. We have the same number of products as, like, the last couple years. It's just one random, like, supplemental product in between a core set and, third set block or whatever, and like people are acting like that's a brand new thing. Like Battle Bond last year, oh my god, so many products, and then like the year before that, what was it, like Conspiracy or whatever, where it's like, holy crap, they can't do this forever, man. There's just not enough, like it's the normal product release.
Yeah, it's because they've segmented out their audience in a very smart way. But mini Magic players fit into all of that audience, and that's the ones who seem to complain about that, right? Like, Battle Bond came out last year. I did not care. I got the cards from it I wanted, and I moved on with my life, right?
You know who doesn't complain?
That wasn't for me.
People who listen to this podcast, and they make money based on our smart picks. And they have the disposable income to just buy the cards they want from the sets they want as they come out, because they're not always perpetually broke, because they get our good finance advice. That's who doesn't bitch. Thanks for listening to this podcast.
You're welcome.
But yeah, so I have heard that, Jason, and I think I don't even know, because like on the one hand, they might have done Modern Horizons Snow theme because they're not going to do it. Or they might have done Modern Horizons Snow theme because they're going to visit it in the fall and they wanted to seed it or whatever, right? But I'll tell you this, I've also seen a lot of colorless / artifact things that have felt like plants to me.
Return to Kaladesh.
Jeez.
Well, the auras have felt like plants too. So
yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, especially with like the core sets, but I don't know the cards offhand. I'd have to go look. But
Mystery Contraption, 6-mana artifact. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, untap all permanents you control.
Like, they made Treasure Evergreen too. I don't know. I also think we also need a new big bad now that the Bolas story arc is complete.
It'll be Heliod.
So,
we're returning to Theros.
It could be a return to Theros.
I do think Theros is within the next year. I don't know if it's fall.
He would make.
I think
he would make a good bad guy.
I agree.
We're going somewhere new in the falls, I believe.
Isn't Elspeth the Wanderer?
No,
that's Emrakul, you idiot.
Emrakul's in the moon, DJ.
No, that's Merit Lage is the moon.
That's a good point. So I don't know. We'll see. I think it'd be cool if we had a the Nordic themed set or whatever, the Viking themed set. I'd be into that. But like I said,
about time white people got some representation in Magic. Am I right?
We could. It could also be something about the Phyrexians.
Oh my god! Yes, give me Phyrexian stuff.
I mean, it could be. I don't know how you'd want to. Like, they took over Mirrodin or whatever. They made it new Phyrexia, so I don't know if that counts as new, but that would make sense to have some artifact seeding. Yeah.
Phyrexian fans are the goths of Magic.
I mean, that's probably
You're
true.
probably not wrong.
Yeah, it's cool that you like lore, but you're still eating lunch by yourself.
All right, let's move on. Jason, let's talk about M20. I know you had a couple cards you wanted to talk about. Obviously, Chandra's going crazy right now, and if you miss the boat, you missed the boat on that. But what did you?
Well, Metal Chandra is actually, I think, in play also.
The rare one.
The rare one, the non-mythic one. And like I mentioned that, I think Risen Reef at like $2 right now. I think you can get those in Draft Chaff or just like trade them off people. I think foil Risen Reef is at a little too high right now, but as people open more, I think those foils are going to plummet, and I think you want to hold on to those because that feels like a $5 to $7 EDH foil in a couple of years.
I don't know if they're just going to like reprint that into the ground in Commander sets. Because,
you never know, but you'd have to have sort of an elemental theme because otherwise it's a really bad Coiling Oracle if it's not supported, so I don't think you can just jam it.
But isn't it just another Coiling Oracle?
But it's one more mana, so...
It's just another coil. I mean, you still play it in like every blue-green deck, right? Whether it's elemental themed or not.
I don't know if that's true, but I'm sure gonna try.
Yeah. So I could see them just throwing it in a blue-green deck,
I mean, yeah.
It's an elemental, but it doesn't have elemental synergies.
But there's so much stuff that's an elemental. If you go through and look, you're like, wow, Avenger Zendikar, really? Like, there's so many things that
yeah, there's a lot of incidental elementals.
Interesting.
Incidental elemental.
Incidentals. So
that sounds like the next level of being an incel.
Oh, I've ascended to the plane where I no longer need my penis. I am an incidental.
You wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
What else do you like from the set, Jason?
Well, I want to talk about this card that I sort of didn't talk about last week when I did my 505. The people in our Discord that they access by going to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery and giving us $1. The people in the Discord are like, why didn't you talk about Elvish Reclaimer? It's basically Weathered Wayfarer, but in green. It's so good. And I didn't really like it as much at its price last week. It's closer to $2 right now. I think that might be okay, but we're not even close to peak supply of this set, so I bet it goes to bulk because I don't think it's going to impact standard per se. I think Weathered Wayfarer is very good because it does something that's hard to do in white, and it's not hard to select your lands in green, but Elvish Reclaimer can get like an Urborg or a Cabal Coffers or a Gaia's Cradle, so that's not to be overlooked. And it doesn't get as big as Night of the Reliquary, but
Weathered Wayfarer also has like 2 printings from like 1945.
Yeah, the first copy of Weathered Wayfarer is in black and white. That's hilarious. So, I don't think it's the next Weathered Wayfarer, but I think I think when it's bulk, you may just want to grab a couple and see what happens.
I think it's
got a medium reprint risk, I think, so I don't like it for those reasons.
I almost want to say it has a similar price graph to Path of Discovery, where like you have 6 to 8 months to pick them up at True Bulk, and then you just throw them in a box. And there's very few things that go wrong.
Yep. And a reprinting blows you out, but then like you
don't want to spend like $8 on a
like a 72-month wait.
Yeah, you don't want to spend $8 on a playset and try to hope it turns into like a $15 playset. You want to spend like $10 on 50 copies and then like wait 6 months to a year. Go ahead, Steven.
What do you guys think about Icon of Ancestry? It's
a medium on it. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't hate it long term.
There are too many better cards that do the same thing. Everyone's like, it goes in every tribal deck. I'm like, so does Vanquisher's Banner. And
like you only play so many Door of Destinies and Vanquisher's Banner. Like somebody's asked me if I play it in Slivers. I'm like, when are you tapping 3 mana for this and not like Sliver Overlord?
Well, here's the thing. It's also hard to evaluate this card because it is likely going to be a player in Standard. Vampires got hella push thanks to new Sorin, and why it can't be Merfolk, but
because Sorin can't put Merfolk into play, Corbin.
Think about it.
Good point. That's a good point. Icon of Ancestry feels to me like a card that's going to be $1 to $1.50 in a month, and then I think I might have interest in it. But it also might not, right? Vampires might do something with this card in it, and then it's $5 and it never goes back down. So when Standard playability gets involved, especially on a what's going to be a generally lower open set like a core set, it just gets a little difficult to predict. But I think that the card is likely to be worth money. I just hope it gets cheap.
Yeah, first. I think it's going to be an important card for those red tribes and those white tribes that need opportunity to get more cards. Like I don't think it's like at a 225, 250 right now. I don't think it's worth that. But
that's a lot.
Yeah,
I think it will be worth that again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wait for it to go down.
Maybe.
It's hard to say. What if some of those others? Isn't Banner super expensive?
Vanquisher's Banner, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, super expensive.
That was super
is
predictable.
Subjective.
Well, that took the same path, right? It got pretty cheap, and then what were you saying, DJ?
I said super expensive is subjective, but yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's
DJ has alpha cards in his EDH decks.
I don't know. Vanquisher's Banner is also better, obviously, by a lot, but it also costs more mana. But I mean,
it doesn't cost more mana though, because like it doesn't.
3.
Well, yes.
It cost like you count the first like activation in the mana cost, in my opinion.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's true.
Hey Corbin.
Yes.
What would you call the new Sorin Planeswalker if he could put lands into play?
What, Jason?
Weathered Wallflower.
Okay.
Wow.
Thanks, Jason.
Because he was part of a wall. Remember that? Remember he was.
I
in the
do
wall?
remember when he was. I don't think we know how he got out.
I'm not in the wall anymore, and no one wanted to talk about that. No one asked how he got out of the fucking wall.
Are we just not going to talk about
that thing that happened?
Didn't Nahiri murder his entire clan of millions of years and put him in a wall, and we're just going to act like that never happened? Maybe the Netflix series will explain it.
Oh, the Netflix series. I hope they get the same guy that did the voice of Alucard from the Castlevania series on Netflix to do Sorin. That'd be cool.
That Castlevania series was very good.
It's excellent.
I'm trying to finish Chernobyl still.
Oh, that's an excellent miniseries.
I know, I got 2 episodes.
Yeah, it scared a bunch of dumb people away from using nuclear power, so that's cool.
I mean, they already were scared,
and
to be fair.
As it scared people away from doing nuclear power, it drove people to want to go visit the place. The tourism there is up because of the miniseries.
I thought well, that makes sense. We like Russia these days.
I don't like growing a third dick.
I don't know what I would. I don't have enough blood for a third dick for sure. Do you want to tell him?
I don't know how to respond to that one. Anyway, so that's where I'm at on Icon of Ancestry. Do you have anything else, Jason, from the set you want to talk about, or are we going to do pick of the week?
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay, let's hear
I think I don't have a 5-point list. Forge! Let's forge ahead. Forge is nuts, man. The cheaper it gets, the more I am inclined to pick them up. I think if I shoot my wad a little early and buy them and they go a little cheaper, I'll be like, well, I'll just double down and buy even more and reduce the average cost I pay, because that's how much
you're talking about Mystic. You're talking about Mystic Forge.
Yeah. It's
the 4-mana artifact. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast if it's an artifact or a colorless card. You can tap, pay life, exile the top card. Yeah, this feels cool. I have a value Shroom deck. I can definitely see playing this alongside Trading Post. Like, just, a nice, cool artifact synergy type card.
Plus, I think this is modern playable, because I was playing the Madcap Experiment? No, the other one. Experimental Frenzy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were playing that in Robots in Modern, and it was very good, and this is better. So, I think it's got a lot of
about that.
My picks for this core set are all safe and boring, but they will make you money guaranteed.
Good point. That's a great point, Jason.
My last two, I like Symmetry, Scheming Symmetry or whatever, the new, like, basically $2 Vampiric Tutor. And I like Leyline of Anticipation under $5, because it definitely goes back up. Like, you literally can't miss on a card that you know is going to be more than $5.
Yeah,
buying it for like a couple bucks or whatever it gets to. Like, and sometimes it takes too long. People are like, hey, you told us to buy oh god, what's that demon? RuneScar Demon. And everyone's like, you said buy RuneScar Demon $1, and it's been 3 months and it's still $1. And I'm like, all right. And then it's $5 now. Some of those cards you just know they're going to recover in Leyline of Anticipation. As much as like the first printing of it was like the first Leyline, also, I think it's got to go back up.
Yeah.
And the cheaper it gets, the more attractive it looks.
My guaranteed picks for this set are Grafdigger's Cage, Blue-White Leyline, and Temples. That's it.
Yeah, Temples are good.
There's a theme there.
What do you guys think about Elvish Reclaimer? Did we talk about that last week?
We just literally talked about it 10 minutes ago, Corbin. Keep up.
Well, I just wanted to verify that's on my list.
I really want the foils for the Cryptic Caves. That's a card that I think as soon as Commander's Quarters or somebody else gets a hold of that and they start plugging it in, I think that's money right there. You got to hope that it doesn't explode in the next 2 or 3 months, but then you can swoop in and grab some of those cheap foils, and I think you'll be pretty happy.
Yeah, some of those cards just never really get cheap enough. Even if, like, the non-foil card plummets, enough people are snagging those for, like, EDH or what haves you, that the foil never really gets cheap enough to make a play. And sometimes that happens, but, we can pay attention to more than one card at the same time, right? So, like, we can just wait for it to happen.
And that's one of those good comments that you made that kind of, when you talk about the Finance 101, is that idea of just because something looks pretty good doesn't mean you should drop your money on it. You need to, like, take a moment and think about it.
Well, there's opportunity cost to having something that's guaranteed to go up by 50% over the next 3 years. There's cost associated with not having that money to buy a chamois cloth to clean up the juice you spilled in the kitchen. So, like,
it's a ShamWow.
You could wreck your whole marriage because you didn't clean up the Hawaiian punch you spilled.
All right,
and then you get ants.
On that note,
that's called an opportunity cost. Look it up, nerd.
Let's move on to pick of the week.
Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
No, we don't need to give these people picks of the week, do we?
We give them enough value by telling them to go to patreon.com.
Yeah. I've actually got 2 good picks of the week, to be honest. But I will.
Look at me, I'm Corbin Hustler.
I will settle for one.
Is that why you were 15 minutes late to podcast? You were picking a second pick of the week?
15 minutes late, yeah. No, I'm a big fan of Coastal Breach right now. So for those who don't know, it's a 7-mana Undaunted card from Commander 2016. That's where your opponents can help pay for it, or it costs 1 less for each opponent, rather. And you return all non-land permanents to owner's hands. Sorcery. It's a crappy Cyclonic Rift or whatever, but the card had a spike about 6 months, almost a year ago. September, October of last year, it spiked to about $3, and then it cooled back off down to about $2. Since then, it's risen back up to $250 slowly over the past 3 months or so, and I think we're in second spike territory here. So, for those that don't know, we talk about it a lot, but if a card spikes, it gets all the copies out of players' hands and into vendors' hands. And then when the card spikes again, because supply hits a low point again, well, now there's not a lot of copies just hanging out in people's binders. So I think that this card right now, which is about $250 to $3, is probably going to end up $5 here before too long.
What's the name of the card?
Coastal Breach.
And that's from the Commander
2016.
It wouldn't be from the Teferi one because it's C17. C17 is Undaunted.
I don't...
Coastal Breach. This is from the Yidris deck, I think.
It's from 2016.
Yeah.
Or 2016 is Undaunted, then I just knew it was on C14.
Yeah.
I think this was Yidris or one of those decks. This barely gets played on EDH Rec. I don't know what's moving this price, but the price is indeed moving.
Yeah, I mean, this is the second time it's moved. I think it's just budget Cyclonic Rift.
I mean, it could be, but it's also like a little bit like people are running it in Nezal decks and Lorthos decks and Erixmathes decks. So I guess people are like, oh, this is a Kraken-y type spell.
I mean, I guess that's true.
No, that's a real thing, though.
Okay. I mean, yeah, whatever the reason. I mean, it is a second spike, and I think we're headed to $5 here. My other one will still be good next week. I'll save it for then.
Well, then don't cock tease us by saying you're doing too bad. It's all right, whatever. We've been doing this for 7 years. I think we know how to podcast. Right? Speaking of which, I got a pick of the week. This is predicated on the Yarok decks, because as much as Yarok is like dumb and obvious and like not that exciting to build because it's basically solved already. If you go to EDH Rec, you're like, yeah, that's the 60 non-lands I'd play. Super. As much as that looks dumb, I think the fact that it's solved means people are going to play this card, which was expensive, got a little bit less expensive just on the basis of, I don't even know. But it was in Commander Anthology because it was in the Kalemna Disciple of Erois deck, and DJ bought all of them, and then he flooded TCG Player with cheap copies of my pick of the week, which is now $6 on TCG Player, Blade of Selves.
And somebody bought one of those copies from me on TCG Player and didn't buy it through Twitter DMs, and then they cost me 13% in fees.
Well, you got to sell cards at Twitter DMs if you go to MTG Trading Post on Twitter.
Yeah, actually, Jason, I really enjoyed the way you did that. I think I'm going to copy that. I had some expensive cards a while back I was trying to sell on Twitter, and I posted them late at night and didn't get a ton of bites. So, but you had a very good way of doing it.
Hundreds of retweets. Yeah, that's the only way to do it. Just get random people who would never buy a card from you to retweet. So I think Yarok makes Blade of Selves actually kind of stupid. If you put it on a Coiling Oracle, or I guess Risen Reef,
or a Gonti,
and then or a Gonti. But if you put it on anything like inconsequential, like a Wood Elves, and then swing with the Blade of Selves on it with Yarok out, you're like, oh, I guess I just go get 6 forests, and you block my creature and it dies. This was easy. So like, Blade of Selves was good before, but now you're doubling Blade of Selves because you have a Panharmonicon in your command zone. So as much as that deck is stupid and boring, and it's just like this year's Muldrotha.
Well,
there's a certain appeal to just doing doubly shit because people love doubling because it's the season for it. So double up, bitches, and double up on your money by buying Blade of Selves for 6.
Yeah, I mean, Blade of Selves was 15 before the reprint, and it's climbed off its bottom of 450 here to
and
about 6.
And by reprint, you mean a Commander Anthology, and
right.
No telling how many copies actually ended up.
Yeah, so I'm with you. This definitely seems headed back up.
So yeah, speaking of Commander Anthology, my pick of the week was reprinted once, and I actually used to have a Heartless Hidetsugu deck that was all bulk rares. So the restriction was that it could not have any commons or uncommons or mythics, and every card had to be between 20, like 0 and like $1. If it went above $1, I had to cut it. And so this is a card that I had to read 5 or 6 times to make sure I was doing the right thing with it. And every time I've read it, it gets better. And I still don't think anybody else has ever read this card that hasn't just played the Deretti deck in a pre-con, and they don't look up cards or tell people about cards, so it just doesn't get any more views. Volcanic Offering. Have you guys ever read this card?
Yeah,
I do know that card.
This card is a 4-for-1, just by itself.
It's sweet, actually.
It's just actually a 4-for-1 in red, which doesn't get card advantage, and it's an instant too. And there's no way for them to like redirect your shenanigans or like it just blows up 4 things. You get to choose 2 of those things. So it's
why don't you read it for people?
It is 1 in a red, or 1 in 4, or 4 and a red. There we go.
4 colors.
There you
red.
go.
4 in a red.
Go. We got there.
4 in a red instant. Destroy target non-basic land you don't control, and target non-basic land of an opponent's choice you don't control. So you Stone Rain them, and then somebody else Stone Rain somebody that's not you.
Somebody else, yeah.
And then it deals 7 to a creature that you don't control, and then somebody else deals 7 to a creature that you don't control. So you're never losing out on this.
I'm gonna put this in my sweet blue-red Keranos deck.
Yeah, you never lose out on this. You blew up 2 things you don't like. You're like, oh, that's Cabal Coffers is gone, and that Yarok is gone. And then you're like, you get to blow up a Stone Rain something, and then you get to blow up a creature. So like, everybody wins except the people that get their stuff blown up. You can like let people blow up revenge stuff. It's crazy, and the card has always been under $1. It was always an all-star at Heartless Hidetsugu, and it has slowly crept up from like 30 cents to 80 cents average.
Yeah. It does a really
I've
nice
just always
job.
loved this card. And with all the cards that from this set, Commander 2014, that have been popping off lately, like that Breaching Leviathan, like Intellectual Offering has slowly been creeping up. There's a lot of just cards that, like we talked about earlier, just don't have that massive supply out there. And when people start to read them, they're like, oh, this is good. And it is good. I think this is like a $4 card within the next 6 months.
Is Commander 2014 the most expensive of the Commander sets? It has 5 cards over $20.
If you add up every single 16's real good.
Yeah.
16 has like more than twice as many $10 cards, I think.
It has the 4-color commander.
Yeah, 16 is like probably the strongest.
That's a good point.
So yeah, it's got like the Atraxa deck where every card is money.
Yeah.
And then C17 has the most expensive sealed products because like everybody just like goes to Amazon, clicks buy on a $400 vampire precon, and then hugs it when it gets in the mail.
Steven, what do you got?
For me, I got Narset's Reversal.
Okay.
It's a newer card.
Yeah.
It's not going to be opened anymore.
More like a newer card. It's a shitty pick.
Wow. All right.
It's Jason.
Anyways, I'm going to go with this pick. It gets around, I mean, super corner case, but it does get around things that can't be countered.
Like Chandra. Oh, no, it's instant or sorcery. Nope.
It lets you steal it. This should be in Jason's wheelhouse. This is totally a 75%. Because it's only as powerful as the person you're competing against. It does put it back in their hand. That's not the best always. But it does give you their big spell for 2 blue, and only as powerful as what your opponents are doing. It's under $2 right now. I really like this card. I think it's going to be fun. And you're not going to see very many opened anymore. As 2 new things have been released since this card came out.
Yeah, I mean, it is still... War of the Spark will still be in print for another 6 months or so, right? So that's a concern here, but it is pretty cheap right now. Realistically, you can probably trade for these for under, for about $1 or whatever. And the card is very good. I mean, countering somebody's Torment of Hellfire, well, not countering it, but it doesn't matter. Copying their Torment of Hellfire and winning the game is pretty solid in Commander.
Yep. It's not. I like Tail's End a little bit better in that slot, but because that's like 3 different cards, but it's like a much more playable.
I kind of look at him differently though. Like I look at Tail's End as counterspell, and I look at Narset's Reversal as like I'm mainly going to copy something. I'm going to copy something that wins the game. Like I'm tooth and nailing, or I'm tormenting, or whatever. Yeah,
I mean, there's what it would Actually, it'd be pretty cool to Narset's reversal somebody's overloaded psych rift.
Yeah, because they end up bouncing their permanents. Is that how that works? No, I don't.
I don't. You control. You control the copy, and it just says you don't control.
Oh, that's true. Because you get rid of the original.
I think I don't fully know how it interacts with overload, but I think
Judge.
Yeah, I think it would. I actually don't know.
My bet is that their stuff gets bounced.
I think so.
If you're a judge, send us an email, brainstormbrew@gmail.com.
I am a judge, and I don't know the
Max will.
If you're a good judge.
Max will listen to this episode and tweet at us. It's fine.
Max, save us.
If you're competent. I was going to open it up to more people than just Max, but I'm sure he'll be the first person to reply.
I think I embody the judge program because when someone does something wrong at F&M, I just tell them to cut the shit out. That's what a level 1 judge is supposed to be. It's like enough to give you authority, but there aren't any actual rules. Like literally at F&M, the fix is just fix it.
Yep.
So it's great.
All right. On that note,
anyone else want to get anything out there this week besides the fact that I did steal a ball from Blake Griffin and you all are going to hear about it?
And you know what? It would be nice to hear Blake Griffin deny it because I don't think that really happened. But the fact that Blake Griffin won't deny it kind of makes him look guilty.
Yeah.
Like he knows that he absolutely knows it happened. And he knows if he says anything, everyone will be like, oh, you can't lie anymore. It totally happened.
The best response...
This chunky piece of crap stole the ball from you.
The best response Blake could have would be... And then...
Well, I mean, that's definitely true. Like, he definitely doesn't know
Yeah, but then Corbin will just tweet a picture of him in his sweet basketball shorts back in high school, and Blake will be like, the guy that haunts my nightmares. I've achieved everything you can achieve in the NBA, and even... reached the upper echelon where I live in Detroit, Michigan. I've achieved everything a basketball player can possibly achieve, but I still wake up in a cold sweat every night thinking about the fact the guy who was looking 2 different directions at the same time faked me out and stole the ball, embarrassed me in front of 27 people in a high school gymnasium.
I'm sure you thought about it
we're
when
all
he
on
had
the same
each arm
page.
around a hot cheerleader on the way out.
It was 2004, Jason. Get it right. I'm not as old as you.
It's bookmarked on his Google Calendar, Jason. He can't.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's the 2004 version of your
How I Beat Shaq by Aaron Carter.
No, your Brett Kavanaugh journal. Where you let me pull out my journal from 40 years ago. And
this is where I boofed Blake.
me and Squee and Blake.
I have a shout out. My shout out is to Odyssey Games in Kalamazoo, Michigan, who, if you're watching on YouTube, you may notice that there's a giant cardboard cutout of Avison in the background here. And when I come back to my basement drunk late at night and the lights are off and I forget that this is in my basement, I scare the shit out of myself because there's a 7-foot tall cardboard Avison in my basement. It's courtesy of Odyssey Games in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is my LGS, and they were kind enough to donate this for the background of the podcast, so I look more like an actual Magic person.
That's awesome. Thank
you. I've shouted them out before, but I will do it now in exchange for free stuff. If you would like me to say the name of your LGS on this podcast, which will get you tens of dollars in extra sales when people are like, you know what, I'm going to patronize those people. Give me some free stuff. It's really that easy. I'm a complete whore, and it turns out this podcast doesn't pay that much. We split it 3 ways, so I gotta do some side hustling. And
exactly what is $0 when you split it 3 ways?
Well, I don't actually know.
Multiplication would say it's 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like we're using Reaganomics, so like you got to carry the 1 and then it trickles down. So it's like it's a little more complicated than that. But yeah, right. I'll say the name of your LGS on the podcast if you give me some stuff. That's pretty easy.
All right, there you go, everybody. This is Brainstorm Brewery. Enjoy your M20 release, your Commander Bannings, whatever it was that you cared about this week, because everyone cared about
July
something
11th fireworks that your white trash neighbors are still letting off.
Yep, that's what I got going on right now.
Yep. Dude, a guy like shot like a mortar type firework, like one of the too big to be still shooting out at this date, And I was like, dude, July 4th was a week ago, and you almost lit my Christmas decorations on fire. Knock it off.